Considering the trip to Costa Rica, but you can't find enough info to know if it's worth it or not? Well, you've come to the right place, because in today's video, I will be covering everything that you need to know in order to have a safe, fun trip in Costa Rica. Let's hop straight into things. Recently, my husband and I traveled to Costa Rica, and I'll insert a vlog of that for you to check out after this video. We flew into Liberia and we stayed at the Riu Palace, which was in Guanacaste, Costa Rica, about 35 to 40 minutes away from the airport. We ended up taking a cab from the airport, which cost us $65, but I really would suggest trying to book through the resort before arrival, because it's a lot cheaper, convenient, and it's safe as well. One thing I would not suggest if you're staying at a resort is to get a rental, because as we were on the way to the resort, we tried to use the GPS and neither one of our phones were working. I have AT&T and my husband has Verizon, and neither service was working as far as GPS go. So unless you're already from Costa Rica, I would just suggest just booking transportation through the resort or just grabbing a cab the way that we did. It took us about 35 to 40 minutes to arrive at the resort. We decided to stay at the Riu Palace, which is an all-inclusive resort, which means that once you arrive, all food and drinks are included. We just bring a lot of 1s and 5s for tips. And we also tip in our own US money as well. We did not convert our money over. The travel there and during the stay seemed very safe, and we didn't seem like we were in harm's way. They also had security at the gates before you could enter where the resort was. When you first come in past security, you see the water park, the resort. The building is very grand. Now, mind you, when you book at the Riu Palace, you do get 2 for 1, as you can visit the sister resort, which is the Riu Guanacaste. As we got out, the staff was very friendly. They meet you outside, grab your luggage, and escort you inside of the resort. So coming into the resort, the first glance was absolutely beautiful. You go to the front counter, check in, and they give you a welcome drink. The room that we booked was the junior suite, but at the desk, I did request for them to give us a better room based on it being our anniversary. I also asked not to be on the very first floor, as it can be a little bit noisy at times. And they did honor this request. The room that they upgraded us to was the one with the jacuzzi in the middle of the room. And we had a courtyard view of the pools and the ocean in the distance. Once we got inside of the room was stunning. Definitely a different color scheme, but it was very bright and inviting and roomy as well. Everything was clean. We had stock liquor in there, TV, stand-up shower. We had a jacuzzi in the middle of the room. We also had a balcony and a sitting area, along with a toilet area that sat by itself, as well as a refrigerator with snacks. Now, on the inside of the resort, you had a main lobby bar, a couple different restaurants inside of the resort on that main level. Now, outside of the resort is where you've seen about 6 different pools along with the pool bar. They did have music going, as well as outdoor game activities. Some of the games that we did see people playing at the time was like a frisbee game. Try to see who can land the frisbee exactly where you're trying to get it to. They also had water sports. So they had jet skis, as well as even a boat to take you over to Coco Beach, which we'll get into a little bit later. Once you got to the beach area, the beach for me, I was expecting more of a white sand type of a beach where it's very clean and you could tell that they take care of it. But that's not what we actually got at this resort. They had more of a darker sand. It had litter inside of the darker sand as well. They also had locals on the beach, so that's something to point out. Now, the locals were very nice. They were selling their services, so anywhere from like a beach massage to ATVs, whether you were with a group of people or just a couple of you or just one person, they would take you through the jungle and everything. We did not partake in that, but it was very interesting because even the pricing was pretty fair. It seemed as though the pricing for the ATV was around $80 per person if you were having individual ATVs, then around $100 if it was 2 people per ATV. Around lunchtime, they did serve food outside at the resort around the pool bar area. Coming out of the front of the resort, you can either go to the water park that's straight ahead, or you can make a left-hand turn and go down the street that leads to the sister resort called the Riu Palace. Now, while you're going down this strip towards the other resort, you will pass a lot of businesses along the way. A few of them will be gift shops, ice cream parlor, or even an emergency room, plus a couple other shops. The disco nightclub is also along that way as well. Now, some nearby daytime things to do while you're there would be going to Coco Beach. We set up transportation from the resort to go over to Coco Beach. I'll insert the price list up above for you guys to take a look at. There's also an adventure park that's close by that a lot of people travel to, where you can do zip lining, walking through the forest. I believe they even have like horseback riding and all of that. We did not visit there, but I know it's a very popular place. And it's called Diamante Eco Adventure Park, if I'm saying that correctly. But either way, I'll put the name up above for you guys to check it out. Now, as far as food and drinks go, this Riu Palace resort in Costa Rica had the best food we've ever had at an all-inclusive. They had so many different restaurants to pick from, as well as such a great variety, while our favorite was always at the buffet, whether it was for breakfast or dinner. They just had such a great variety of food, and we just could not get enough. With the way that the food has been so far at some of these resorts, our expectations were not high at all. So once we came across this buffet and the food was phenomenal, we just could not stop going there. We would overeat everything, but it was a wonderful, wonderful time. Now, I am gonna ask if you guys are enjoying this video so far and you think that I'm giving you some value, don't forget to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you want more content like this. Now, back to the regular program. As far as the drinks go, Costa Rica, by far, at least in my experience so far, their drinks do not seem watered down. We would go to that lobby bar every single night and they would just keep pouring round after round after round. And when I tell you guys, you can get a nice buzz on just a few shots, I promise you. Whereas we visited some other all-inclusive places and it really seemed as though the drinks were watered down. We did not get that vibe at all in Costa Rica. So hats off to the food and the drinks in Costa Rica. That is still our #1 place for food and drinks as far as resorts go. As far as nightlife go, some of the things that we decided to do on our first night, we ended up going over to the Riu Palace resort and they were having a white party. It seems as though the Friday night vary in between a neon colored party and a white party. So we were actually happy that it was the white party night. So when we went, it was a nice time, nice vibe. We walked over there. It was very inviting, very live. They had dancers, they were handing out balloons, obviously drinks because you can eat and drink as much as you want. They also had like cool little stuff as well, such as like book cover magazines. And so you get inside of this clear box and then you act as though you're posing for the cover of a magazine. So it was cute stuff like that. The resort was also big and nice as well. Another thing as well, we did visit the nightclub that was on site. When you go inside of there, it's very nice. They had booth areas, they had seating up against the wall, and then they had a dance floor with the bar, of course, as well. It seemed like at least the genre for the night was more like a hip-hop R&B with a little mix of pop here and there. And we actually went there on Saturday night. And then they also had the smoke fog coming out and all of that. So overall, it was a good, nice time. We didn't stay that long, but we stayed long enough to see what the vibe was like. And it was a good, fun time. Now, although we went to the white party at the other resort and the nightclub on a different night, our main thing to do every single night after we ate dinner was to catch one of the live shows. So they basically had live shows every night. 2 of the nights, a show, you know, they would have like the girls with the feathers on or something like that. A lot of dancing and stuff like that on stage. But our favorite night was karaoke night. And so they kind of had like a mixed genre, and you guys know how it go on karaoke. People get up there and they sing whatever their song of choice is, and we absolutely love that. And then we will always end our night in that lobby bar, which seemed to close maybe around 2 o'clock, like between 1 and 2 o'clock is when it seemed like it closed. Now, Coco Beach, when we visited there, after we paid for the transportation through the resort, we rode in a van with other people over to Coco Beach. Once we got over to Coco Beach, there was a 2-hour schedule for you to come back to the resort. Now, I do want to point out that if you're trying to come back at a certain time, I would suggest getting to the pickup area early, because when we left Coco Beach, there wasn't enough room for everybody to get onto that bus. It was some people that had to stay there and wait for the next 2 hours in order for another bus to come back and get them. So don't let that be you, because we were glad that wasn't us. But while we were over at Coco Beach, it was nice. It was just like a little town. You walk around, they have a lot of different shops. A couple places to eat. The famous Z-Bar Lounge is even over there, and I can tell at night that's probably a vibe, because they had a lot of nice booths over there. We just wasn't going over there in the nighttime, okay? Like, even though the surroundings seem safe and all that stuff, we kind of like to stick around the resort for the most part. So we like to go to resorts with a lot of stuff to do, especially during the nighttime. Now, while we were at Coco Beach and we visited the Z Lounge, that was the first time we actually got to see on receipt how the conversion rate looked. I'll insert it on the screen so you guys can see how different it looked. They even had a casino over there. Now, you do have locals over there, obviously. Some of them do ask for money. It was a couple of them that even had a United States tatted on their arm, so they can act like they're from the US, and you shouldn't be leery of them. We were leery of them the most, okay? So use your judgment with all that stuff. They rode around on a lot of like scooters and stuff like that. Also, another thing I wanted to point out is the fact that when you're coming over, if you take that taxi boat over, it's like a little bitty boat. If you're like scared of all that water, or you get seasick or something like that, I don't know if I would suggest riding on that little boat. Taking the bus over or the cargo van over would probably be the better option. The check-in and check-out process was very easy and simple. You just go to the desk, let them know your name, show them your passport, and turn in your keys at the end of your stay. Another thing I want to point out is the weather. So the weather was very nice while we were in Costa Rica. We did go during the wet season, but it didn't rain at all. The first day was a little cloudy, and the rest of the days were absolutely gorgeous and beautiful with the sun shining bright, and it was steaming hot. Like, it felt like the middle of the hottest season in Vegas. That's how it felt, like with that humidity and everything. Now, the pools were gorgeous. They did have swimming beetles, and they also had some other like weird bugs. We seen an iguana, which I don't know what happened to the video of that. But then we also got this other weird looking bug that my husband was touching, and the bug was like, I don't know what it was. I've never seen anything like it. So we didn't get like any mosquitoes and stuff like that. So I don't know. Now, transportation on the way back, what we did was we booked through the resort. I'll attach another price list again for the price that we paid. I'd say it was like $20 a person, and they came on every 2-hour increments. So based on the time that we needed to be at the airport, we actually arrived early, which was okay with us as long as we were there in enough time to come back home. Now, as far as customs go, you can't have cameras rolling in there, but it was a very smooth process. It just was a line in order to get through the passport area. And although their airport was nice, it was relatively small. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna point out my favorite and my least favorite parts of the trip. For me, I would say that my favorite part of the trip was the food and drinks, because the food was great, the drinks, you can get a buzz. And honestly, for me, if I can have good food and drinks while I'm on a trip at no additional cost, win-win, win-win. Favorite part. I promise you, that was my favorite part of the trip. Now, my least favorite part was the beach area. To be honest with you, it was a little disappointing that it was not a clean beach area. Like, it was to the point where we didn't even walk down to the actual beach. So if you're going to this resort straight up for the beach, I would not suggest it. And that's just my honest opinion. But if you're going for the resort grounds, hands down, beautiful, gorgeous. You'll have a great time. Now, to rate the overall trip from arrival to departure, I would definitely rate this a 9 out of 10. Would I travel there again? If I'm being honest, I kind of like to go to different places. If I had to choose from any all-inclusive resort that I've visited so far, it would have to be going back to the DR. But if I ever decided in the future to revisit Costa Rica, I would hands down visit the same Riu Palace resort again, 100 times over. Again, if you guys like this content, make sure you give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more. If you would be interested in a full review of our Punta Cana in the DR, or even our Montego Bay in Jamaica vacation, leave it down below. And where are you guys in your decision stage? Have you already booked, or are you just thinking about it right now? Let me know down below if you guys have already booked your trip, when you're going, what you're going for, or if you're still in the deciding factor phase. Now that you've seen a full breakdown of this trip, check out my Costa Rica vlog in this next clip. Thank you, and until next time, bye.